Okay, so we have Collin Whitlock for you. Yes, I know. I think Collin has a fan base here. After almost 20 years in town, he calls Gainesville home, which is great. And as a member of bands, he's been in a lot of bands. Who is a shitty Beatles groupie? Do we have some of them in here? Okay, I know about you guys, and it's very intense. And I want the tickets. It sells out every time before I get a ticket. Okay, so share and share alike. But he's in the band The Shitty Beatles, The Slims, Brewster Baker, Jordan Burchell, Average Friend, Cassette, Dark Horse, and Maxwell Edison. Is there a band he's not a part of in Gainesville is more the point. He has a particularly close kinship to the music and art scene, obviously. And he has also spent 13 years teaching middle school English. I know. I wish I could go back in time. Did you say bless him? Yes. Yes, and we all want bless him, and we all want to be there. So he's honored to take part in such a wonderful night of storytelling with the community he loves most in the world. Now, I feel like Self Narrate and the Conch and our gig really we all want all of these stories. We love all of them. And I remember seeing Collin 3 years ago at the Conch and awkwardly approaching him afterwards, like trying to recruit him. And he's like, I don't know you. So here he is representing another organization, but we love him all the same. Here's Collin.
Hello. It's really cold back there. So about 8 years ago, I was moving to a new house in a new neighborhood. I was very excited because I was kind of ready for like a shift, and I was ready to kind of dig into a neighborhood. You know what I mean? When I was growing up, I had the greatest childhood neighborhood. There's like 10 of my friends within 5 blocks, and there was no like calling up to see if you wanted to hang out. It was like knock on the door, can Collin come out to play? Which I missed. And you know, I had family in the neighborhood, and we had friends who were like family in the neighborhood. And I lived there for 18 years, my whole life. And then I got to Gainesville, and you kind of had that my freshman year in the dorms. You know, it was nice. But slowly, as the years go on, you kind of like, I at least, not you, but I started kind of pulling out, not really getting into the neighborhood, just kind of keeping to myself. And I was ready to like really dig in. So I was really excited about this. So I moved to this house, and it was a great neighborhood. That's why I was so excited. It was this classic East Gainesville neighborhood. I could already see the block parties. And that was, you know, what I wanted. And so I was moving in. I gave myself about a week. When I moved in, I kind of settled in. My dog and I were like, you know, we were sort of binging TV shows. Started watching Dexter together, you know. I got about 2 seasons into Dexter, which is not smart to do when you're living alone in a new house. Kind of freaked out by serial killers. Who isn't? So I give myself about a week, and then I decide one day, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to walk Took, and I'm going to walk down the street, and I'm going to meet some neighbors. I'm going to like introduce myself. I'm feeling very empowered at this moment. And so I walk out, and there's a bunch of police cars outside a house 2 doors down. And I think, today's not the day. This is not the way to introduce yourself to your neighbors. Everybody's outside because they're good neighbors. And they're all like so concerned somebody got robbed. And I was like, I'm just going to walk this way. I'm going to go toward the park. So I waited another day. And one day I was getting home from work. And my next door neighbor was outside in his yard. And he already was perfect for what I wanted, what I created in my brain. Because I didn't want somebody who was like going to be my best friend. I wanted like a weird, quirky neighbor that like you could talk about with your friends, and that you could kind of like, you wouldn't believe this guy I live next to, right? Which he probably says about me. And so he's outside, and there's like, I wish you could see this place. The house is almost the same as mine, except there's this huge section in the back that has obviously been added by him. Probably not up to code. And then, his front yard has got all these projects that he tinkers with. So he's like a handyman type. He's got like white tennis shoes on with white socks pulled up to his knees. I am not making fun of him, by the way. I'm just saying this is what I wanted. So I was even more excited. So he comes over, and he's so nice. He introduces himself. We'll call him Don. And Don is so excited. Oh, I'm so glad you're in the neighborhood. We love having new blood in the neighborhood. It's a great place. And I told him, I know. I've been here. I like this. And so he says to me, listen, the old lady and my son are out of town this week. So I'm a bachelor this week. How about we go out for a beer? Yes. I did not, there was no pause. I already knew what he was going to say, and I was ready. Yes. Let's go out for a beer. That'd be great. So I couldn't do it that night, so I told him the next night when I get home from work, let's go out, let's hang out. Let's get to know each other. I'll be borrowing, like, drills from you, and I don't have a lawnmower. You want to have, like, and he had a rider lawnmower, too. I never got to ride it. You'll see why. So... by choice. So the next day I get home from work and I pull into my driveway and he's not outside. That matters. He's not outside. I get in my driveway. I go into my house. I play with my dog for 10 seconds. My routine is I go in, play, go chant. I do the Mr. Rogers thing. I got to get out of my I hate my life clothes into I'm a happy person. And so I see Took, or hey, what's up? Before I get to my room, there's a knock at the door. I'm like, who's this? So I go, and it's him. He's ready. He's like, hey, you ready? And I had not been home for more than 15 seconds, okay? I did not think this at the time, but since I'm getting to tell the story in the past tense, I will tell you later that I realize he must have been watching my house. Because he wasn't outside. I think he was... I really do. You will too by the end of the story. I say, yes, I just got to go change my clothes. Come on in. I say, okay. And so he comes in, and Took is very excited to see him. He's the greatest dog. He already loves you. And he comes in my house and immediately falls to the ground and wrestles with Took. Which is so sweet, but weird. Because we've only talked once before, and he's already, wrestling my dog. He could have injured no, he was fine. But he was, on the ground. How many times have you gone into a stranger's house and just rolled around on their ground, on their floor, their ground? There was a floor in my house. So I'm fine with this because I'm thinking positive. I think this is what I wanted. This is what I asked for. And so I go in my room, I continue to hear banging and, thumps, but no barking, so I figured it was okay. And so I get dressed, I come back out, and he's no longer in my living room, he's in my kitchen opening cabinets. There's not a not creepy way to do it, but I didn't feel like I was in danger at this point. I just thought okay, so what he was doing is oh my gosh, this house is the exact same layout as my house. And so he's checking. He's like, you got the same cabinets as me. This is where my kitchen is. Your bedroom's where my kid's bedroom is. Very interesting. Not at all. But I thought I'm guessing that the same person built our house. There's a lot. I didn't say this. I'm thinking this because I'm polite. And so he continues to do this, and he's oh, this is all the same stuff. And then he says to me, he looks at the back where the kitchen is, and he says, oh, but here's the big difference between our houses. When you go back to this room, in my house, it's a big open space. I've been building an addition to my house. And I said, I know you have. And he said, you got to see it sometime. Yes, I would love to see it sometime. So we get into the car. I volunteer to drive, and he said, listen, I want to treat you to a real Gainesville experience. I don't think he knows that I've been here for 10 years. And he goes, there's this place downtown. It's called The Top. It's very hip. They've got all this crazy shenanigans on the wall. When you go into the bathroom, they've got baseball cards and they've got... And I said, I know, I've been there before. I've lived here for 10 years. And he said, yeah, it's so great. You'll love it. So we get in the car and he tells me, he's like, okay, now you're going to have to go toward Main Street. I said, I know, I've been there. I've lived here for 10 years. I've been there. And so we're going down Main Street, and he's starting to, we're having that small talk. I'm a teacher. Oh, you're a teacher? That's crazy. I'd never do that. Thank God. And then he says, and I'm like, well, what do you do? And he's like, well, I'm an engineer, but I'm a bit of a hacker. Which, by the way, hackers are always telling other people about how they're hackers. That's how you stay safe. You tell everybody you can about all the illegal stuff you're doing. Good tactic. I should have known. So we're going on Main Street. And then he goes, okay, now when you get to the restaurant, you can't just turn down that street where the parking lot looks like. You got to go past the restaurant, and you got to go around. And I said, I know. And he goes, the parking lot's really small, so you might have to park in the district attorney's office next time. I know. So we park, we're walking up. They've got these little lobsters for the buzzers, and they, that your table's ready. It's hilarious. I know. We get in there. He calls the hostess honey. Yes. This is going to be great. We sit down. He gets us some beers. We start having chit-chat and all that good stuff. At one point, he's telling me about how he makes, what are these like racing car, drag racer. He makes drag racers. And he and his buddies like to drive down 441 going like 150 miles an hour because the cops can't catch us. I bet. That sounds like a 100% real story. And so I'm like, wow, that's you're dangerous. And then he gets a phone call, and he takes out his phone and he goes, it's the old ball and chain. Hold on one second. Hello? Yeah? Oh, really? That's really interesting. This whole time, the whole conversation, he's talking to his wife, he's talking to me. With no words, though. He's just like, oh, wow, that's great. And I get it. Like, I start realizing, I was like, he's trying to be, like, maybe he hasn't hung out with just like another guy in a while, except for his drag racing buddies. Maybe he's just trying to show me he's like a dude, and he doesn't know that I hate all of this. So I'm continuing to be positive. I asked for someone different, so this is what I'm getting. I got this story, right? So he finished the phone call, and he says, I say, so how'd you meet your wife? I can't talk. And he says, it's not weird. I'm sure it's not. How'd you? And he says, so we met online, and it's not weird that we met online. I said, I know. It's like 2011. People meet online. I have a friend who's getting married to the person he met online. It's great. Yeah, but it's different. It's way better, actually. I prefer it from real dating. And I said, it is real dating. In my head, because I'm polite. And so then he says, like, what I like about it is that online dating, you get a writing sample first. That way they're not, idiots. And I said, yeah. It gets so much worse. So then our server comes up, and she already hates us. And probably a lot of other people, I don't know. But she comes up, and she's being polite. we have a like polite connection. And she was like, how into everything. And he ignores her and he says, for example, let's say she and I go on a date, right? And she immediately is like, oh, yeah. And so am I. And he goes, we could go out, I could spend $150 on this date, and she ends up being an idiot, and it's a complete waste of my night. So could I have an extra side of French fries? So I was really put off by this. So my goal for the rest of it was just like, okay, I've ventured out. I've, met this guy. Let's move this along. And then I started trying to put things in perspective. He doesn't think that he's doing all this. He's just thinking he's having a great time, and I'm playing the part pretty well because I'm polite. And so I started thinking, he is being really nice to me. And he's buying me dinner. He's buying me, some beers. He's trying to be welcoming to the neighborhood. So I'm trying not to like do the whole like, judgy thing. I failed at that, but I try to do it. So dinner's over. There's so many more conversations we have that I could like make you cringe with. But we're driving home, and he's talking about this new edition. Everything about it. It's going to be so great. Right now it's a workshop, but it's going to turn into a game room, and the kids are going to love it. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so great. That's going to be great. And he goes, you should see it sometime. And I said, I would love to see it sometime. Come on over. Oh, what did I do? And I was like, oh, and I was in the mentality at that point, like, just get her over with. Just do it. So I drop him off at his house. I go over to my house. I park my car, and I'm walking over, and I get like that bad feeling. And I think this has a little bit to do with the fact that I've been watching Dexter for the past week. His wife and kids are out of town. He's just having a bachelor week. And for Dexter, that's like, I'm going to kill somebody. It's like a convenient week. And I get a little nervous, so I'm like walking up to his door, and he's standing there waiting for me, and I get that feeling. I take out my phone, because I'm not brave enough to say, like, I'm not going in your house, and then leaving. So I figure I'll do the next best thing. I'll like let somebody know where I'm going so they can find the body. And so I get my phone out to text my friend Travis, and I start typing like, I'm going to my neighbor's house, call me in 5 minutes, or and I start typing it, and he goes, what are you doing? And it was, what are you doing? Nothing. The text had not been sent. And I don't know why I felt so guilty, because I knew what I was doing, and I thought, like, he knows. And so he goes, well, come on in. And we get up to his door, and he has a keypad lock on the door, which is not weird. Back then it was weird for me. I'm sure it's very convenient. But at that point, I thought, oh my God, there's a keypad lock. What if there's a keypad lock on the other side? And so I even think to myself, like, I should look to see what the code is. And he's putting in the code, and he goes, and I was like, wow, this door, this is great. So we go in his house, and he shuts the door behind me, and the lights come on. There's a hallway this way, and there's a hallway this way, or there's a living room this way, and there are gates this high going into both, also known as a cage. And there are keypad, it's not electric, but it's like a mechanical keypad thing to open those. And I go, whoa. And I was not that polite. I said, whoa, my God. And he said, oh, they're for my dogs. And I was like, oh, that's right, he does have dogs. I've seen dogs in the backyard. Okay, so he's got dogs. So he opens one of them. He's like, look, our houses are the same. It's the exact same thing. And it's true. The walls were all in the same place, but the house is very different. As a matter of fact, actually, it looked a lot more like my house having not been unpacked. That, and he's got a wife and son there, and there's toys everywhere. I'm not going to judge at all. It just was a shock. And so we're going through, he really wants to show me this workshop. So he's showing me, this is where this is, and this is where your room is. I was like, I know, it's the same house. And so we get back, and the door is like a pressed wood door. So it's not even like a real door. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like a homemade kill room. And then he opens the door, and I go, after you. And he's like, no, after you. Side note, if somebody opens the door for you and they say after you, and you're one of the people who's like, nope, after you, you always creep them out, or you at least always make them feel uncomfortable. Just go, unless you really think that somebody's going to kill you if you walk in. I don't know. Maybe this is just me. So I go in, waiting for the needle to go in my neck. And the lights come on, and it is covered in plastic, the whole thing. Wall to wall. On the walls, there's plastic. On the floor, there is plastic. There's a table in the middle of the room, and it's got plastic over it. There are saws and drills and sharp objects hanging from the ceiling. It is his workshop. Or, if you haven't watched Dexter, I just described his kill room. It is exactly that. And I was really starting to freak out. I realized like a minute into it that he is telling me every different kind of nut and screw and bolt that he used in this place. And I don't know anything about any of that stuff. But I'm like, wow, that was a good choice. Aluminum, huh? That's strong, I think. And he's going, and I'm trying to be polite and pay attention, but I feel very uncomfortable. There's something, and he's kind of got this mad look in his eyes, too, and he's telling me this stuff. I might have imagined that, I don't know. But I finally get to a point where I tell him, like, you know what, I got some papers to grade. Teacher excuse. Comes in handy a lot. No, none of us grade papers. No, I'm just joking. But I was like, I got to get home. I got some work to do. Thank you so much. And I'm trying to be sincere about it because there is nice things happening, in a way. And so we walk out into his living room. I feel a little bit safer now that the plastic is away, and I'm stupid. I'm really like not good at being good to myself sometimes. Like when I need to get out of a place, I say something that starts a new conversation, which is dumb. On his couch, on the way out, there's this really beautiful Gibson 12-string guitar. And I say, like, wow, that's a really nice guitar. That's great. Oh, you play. And I say, oh, yeah, but, nope, And he says, like, well, I play too. Here. And he grabs a guitar, and he puts his leg up on his coffee table, and he holds it up on his knee, and I realize I'm about to be serenaded. Two dudes in a living room, and he says, this one's by Mr. Buffett. And he plays me Cheeseburger in Paradise. Wait. It was not Cheeseburger in Paradise. It was Cheeseburger in Paradise, but he and his buddies back in college needed to study for a chemistry test. So they rewrote 12 verses of chemistry study notes. And he sang me 12 verses of Cheeseburger in Paradise with the study notes. What do you do when a guy finishes that song for you and you're alone in his living room? Thank you. Right? And I thought, wow, I could not have just done that. Thank you that was very nice. I didn't say that. Thank you very much. And then came the sincere, like, I really appreciate you reaching out. I'm excited to be in the neighborhood. Thank you very much. And he goes, oh, yeah, man, it's a great neighborhood. We got a great community going here. It's a really safe neighborhood. I told you I was stupid. And I said, yeah, safe, but, the other day, those cops were down the street a couple doors down. And he goes, what the fuck? Oh, I forgot to warn you that I was going to curse. But that's what he said. I'm not just, like, throwing it out there willy-nilly. The room got really cold. He's, what? And I said, oh, I don't know. There was cops down there, and apparently somebody got robbed. He was like, why didn't anybody tell me? I don't know. I'm new. I'm not. And he goes, no, you don't understand. I'm the head of the neighborhood watch. You have to tell me these things. And I said, well, now I know that. And, whoever didn't tell you, I'm sure they're very sorry. And he goes, well, it would be a big mistake if anybody ever tried to break in here because, I'm always packing. And I couldn't help it because I get uncomfortable with guns. Around. Like, it's fun if I'm shooting them, but if somebody else has them, I'm very uncomfortable. And he's like, yeah. And he pulls out this handgun, military grade, doesn't have a safety on it. Which I don't even think that's true. That sounds like something that somebody makes up in a movie. And so he was like, yeah, so, it'd be a big mistake. I was like, all right, well, thanks so much. This has been great. I got to go. And then I rush over to the door, and I get to the grate, and I can't It's locked. The grate is locked. And I'm actually like, I think I'm being rude at this point because I'm like, okay, bye. It was good. Thank you so much. Bye. And we get to it, and he reaches over my shoulder. And he's like, no problem. And he like pushes in the number. The number was 4279. And opens the gate, and I go, thanks a lot. And then I go out. And that was the end of my night, and I lived, and that was great. And luckily, you know, as the years went on, it turns out that he was a really great guy, really nice guy. I am lying. He's horrible. It only got worse all the time. I will be at every other storytelling event so I can tell you the tales of Don. Thank you very much.